city. I literally have done everything that I can. I mean, this situation is crazy. You know, it's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, yeah.
In my 11 years being in the league, I've been on a team like that my first 5 years where it was all about me, not about the team. And that hurts. And it brings everybody down. So when we can get all on the same page, we can be something good here. And we can't dwell down on it because it's only been 9 games. Like, come on, man. You want to jump off the cliff off of 9 games? There's a lot of basketball still to be played.
John Wall and James Harden last night. For much more, let's bring in Stephen A. Smith. You're the first person I thought of when I heard about this trade. Your reaction to this blockbuster move?
Well, first of all, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's finals or bust. You assemble Lethal Weapon 3, which is what we could easily call them right now. There's simply no excuse not to come out of the East and advance to the NBA Finals. There really is not an excuse. James Harden's getting paid $40 million this year. Kevin Durant's getting paid $39. Kyrie Irving is somewhere we don't know at an undisclosed location doing whatever it is that he does, but still getting $33.4 million this season. In the end, what it comes down to is that all of these brothers are big-time basketball players. This is Kevin Durant's franchise. James Harden would not be there unless Kevin Durant wanted him to be there. It's definitely a security blanket in case things continue to fall in the wrong direction as it pertains to Kyrie Irving. It's going to come down with James Harden and Kevin Durant. And let me be very, very clear. We can sit up there and we can talk about James Harden all we want to. The man has averaged over 30 the last 3 years, at least 29 the last 4 years, at least 28 the last 5 years. He is one of the most prolific scorers this game of basketball has ever seen. And more importantly than that, he loves to play the game of basketball. He doesn't engage in load management. He believes in showing up. You can worry about a few things all you want to about James Harden, but the one thing you do not have to worry about is him showing up to play the game of basketball because he wants to play. He wanted to play with Kevin Durant, at least until this morning after all of this Kyrie news percolated. Then Philadelphia was obviously an option with Daryl Morey, his former president of basketball operations in Philly, along with Doc Rivers, the head coach there now. But everybody that knows anything about the NBA right now knew that Tillman Fertitta, the owner for the Houston Rockets, would never allow James Harden to end up in Philadelphia with Daryl Morey. They end up going to the finals. His former star, his former president of basketball operations. Folks in the NBA community firmly believe Philadelphia was never going to be an option no matter what James Harden wanted. But obviously, he wants and loves the idea of playing with Kevin Durant.
So the Rockets get a boatload of picks here. You mentioned the Nets and you think it's championship or bust. What advice would you give Steve Nash? First-time head coach Steve Nash now guiding this team with these stars.
Embrace James Harden and Kevin Durant and let Kyrie Irving figure it out. You can't trust Kyrie Irving right now. It's just that simple. We're not questioning his greatness as a basketball player, his box office appeal, where his heart is at because it's in the right place. But clearly at this particular moment in time, basketball is not the priority it needs to be. And if you're Steve Nash coaching on any level for the first time in your career, you do not need to be concerned about what he's going to do, when he's going to do it, how he's going to do it, etc. You know you can trust Kevin Durant to show up and play ball if he's healthy. You know you can trust James Harden to show up and play basketball for this franchise if he's healthy. You focus on that and the other parts that you have, and if Kyrie Irving wants to come back, when he wants to come back, put the onus on him to fit in. That's what you do if you're Steve Nash at this particular moment in time, because Kyrie Irving has already shown you you're not the priority you need to be. So why make him one?
All right, we're coming back with much more from Stephen A. later on this program. Also, top of the hour, it's your show, SportsCenter. Looking forward to that. We're looking at Houston's lineup that not only looks drastically different from last season. Remember, they were the ones that were in win now, acquiring Russell Westbrook this offseason. Drastically different than it did last night. No James Harden means that you'll likely look at a starting five. That's headlined at the guard position with John Wall and Victor Oladipo. And this is what the trade is right now, featuring 4 teams and the big story, James Harden going to Brooklyn.
Kevin Durant and obviously Kyrie Irving, when he returns, they were just determined to get this deal done. 3 first-round picks from them, 4 pick swaps. Obviously, the pick that goes through Cleveland to the Rockets, who get a great return for this. But this is a Brooklyn organization that is all in right now.
You mentioned Kyrie Irving's name, and he, of course, has been kind of a nuisance for this team of late. He remains absent from the Nets for personal reasons and under league investigation for potentially violating COVID-19 protocols. So You have Harden, you have Kevin Durant, and you have Kyrie Irving. I mean, how does he fit back into this equation, assuming he wants to come back, Woj?
Well, he's going to have to fit back into it. But what the Nets did here by getting James Harden, listen, they know that Kevin Durant is going to be coming back up on free agency in 2 years. You're always thinking about that. And now they have having James Harden there, that helps to solidify keeping Kevin Durant, who has come off this Achilles injury, playing at his old form as an MVP level player. And so Kyrie Irving can rejoin this team. He can recommit to this organization. And you have three MVP level players together. And if he doesn't want to be a part of it or it's not going to work out, well, you've got James Harden now. And certainly they paid a great price for it. But Brooklyn, if nothing else, they got themselves a pretty significant insurance policy on Kevin Durant's future with the Nets.
Yeah, we know Kevin Durant and James Harden had been communicating. They wanted this to happen. They both get their way. We'll see what happens with Kyrie. By the way, all three guys making more than $30 million a year, too. Interesting to see how the financial part of this plays out. What about the Pacers, Woj, and Victor Oladipo? We heard when they were in the bubble that Oladipo disgruntled somewhat with the Pacers, and then he kind of went quiet about it. How did that part of the deal go down with Indiana?
Well, Houston was looking in this deal to move Karis LeVert to another team. They wanted to see, in the marketplace, what it would bring them back. They didn't value LeVert the way some other teams might. I think Karis LeVert is a great fit for this Indiana team with Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis. Very good infrastructure there. I think the relationship between Victor Oladipo and the Pacers, they were ready to move on from each other ultimately, and now Oladipo goes to Houston. We'll see if Oladipo stays in Houston through the trade deadline. They could move him again in early March, see what assets are there, or they could look to re-sign him. He'll be a free agent at the end of the season.
Wow. Deep breath for all of us here as we try to take in all that went down over the last couple of hours. Adrian Wojnarowski with the very latest. Thank you so much for the breakdown. In the meantime, Woj mentioned just a second ago about James Harden, his comments last night that actually the deal was kind of in the works and James Harden knew that. But if you're just catching up and hearing it for the first time, this specifically is what Harden said last night after getting blown out by the Lakers that caused ripples.
We're just not good enough. We don't obviously chemistry, talent wise, just everything. And it was clear. I love this city. I literally have done everything that I can. I mean, this situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So,
In my 11 years being in the league, I've been on a team like that my first 5 years where it was all about me, not about the team. And that hurts. And it brings everybody down. So when we can get all on the same page, we can be something good here. And we can't dwell down on it because it's only been 9 games. Like, come on, man. You want to jump off the cliff off of 9 games? There's a lot of basketball still to be played.
John Wall and James Harden last night. For much more, let's bring in Stephen A. Smith. You're the first person I thought of when I heard about this trade. Your reaction?
Following this breaking news, James Harden shipped away from Houston. Now will be joining the Brooklyn Nets. This reported by Adrian Wojnarowski and Ramona Shelburne. And now Adrian Wojnarowski joining us here on NFL Live to give you all the details on this. So Woj, lay it out for us. What do we know about how this happened and how we got to this point?
First, guys, I am thrilled to be on this show. You guys know how much I love watching you guys.
Man.
But
You're the man, Woj.
Listen. This is a massive deal all around. For the Brooklyn Nets to go out and get James Harden, this was something that Kevin Durant very much wanted. He and Harden started talking about this months ago. And listen, with the uncertainty surrounding Kyrie Irving right now, and I think there's still hope, expectation, he returns and plays for this team. You remember, free agency comes back upon you pretty quick in this league. Kevin Durant's in the second year of a 4-year deal, and getting Harden, that's another reason for Durant to want to stay. But now, if you get Irving back and he's back to playing at a high level, you have a 1-2-3, perhaps unlike we've seen in this league in the modern era, but certainly it comes at a steep price. 4 first-round picks, 4 pick swaps. The picks are unprotected. One of those picks is coming from Cleveland. This is part of a 3-way deal, really a 4-way deal. Karis LeVert goes from the Nets to the Indiana Pacers, and Indiana sends Victor Oladipo to Houston. So a lot of moving parts in this deal.
Yeah, you mentioned some of those moving parts, and the Kyrie piece of this is really interesting. I want to get back to that, but let's talk about this 4-team deal. Give us a little more detail on the second level part of this, other than just James Harden joining the Nets.
Well, I think this was a deal really that came together in the last couple days, and Philadelphia was very much in pursuit of James Harden. Obviously, Daryl Morey, their president, traded for him in Houston, won a great deal with him. But ultimately, this Nets deal, this package, bringing Cleveland into it, got it done. And I think for Houston, you look at them, remember, they gave up a lot of picks in that Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook deal. They get them back and then some, and it gives the Rockets now, their new GM, Rafael Stone, an ability to start a rebuild. Victor Oladipo's in the last year of his contract. You know, they can see how that goes. Do they want to re-sign him? Does he want to be there? But certainly a blockbuster deal by any standard in the NBA, and it is going to be fascinating to see Harden and Kevin Durant reunited in Brooklyn. Obviously, they played in Oklahoma City together, and then Kyrie Irving likely, potentially, you would expect at some point as part of that mix too.
Wow.